Bring Adam Green in now. He's here with me in New York, co-founder of the Progressive Change Campaign Committee. He's been advising Harris-Walz's campaign and the White House on economic messaging. So welcome. Thought maybe on a normal day, we don't have normal days anymore, we'd probably lead the show with a discussion like this, a vice presidential debate coming up. And now the news kind of takes precedent on, and like someone said earlier, Lauren Wright, this probably takes over the first part of the debate, don't you think?
This will absolutely be the first part of the debate, probably followed by the hurricane and eventually the things that Tim Walz wants to talk about, which is Social Security and taxing billionaires or not. Look, let's be honest. Any day where bombing is happening is a bad day for the Biden-Harris administration, and by extension, a bad day for Tim Walz. Every minute in the debate that's spent on this is a bad minute for Tim Walz. The best he can do is help solidify the image that Kamala Harris had coming out of the first debate, which was looking very presidential, but then ideally pivoting to the very stark contrast that exists between his ticket and the other ticket on things like who will cut Social Security, who will cut taxes for billionaires. And that's where he really has a chance to pick up.
You got to be careful with that, too, right? When someone brings up a news event like this, you want to be careful not to pivot it too quickly and start talking about something that seems, you kind of seem like you don't get it or you don't want to talk about it, even if you really don't want to talk about it. So that's a balance.
Yeah, I mean, it's very possible that the first 20, 30 minutes of the debate are about things that he wasn't thinking about talking about a week ago. And that's where...
That's good or bad sometimes. Some people like that when they're preparing. They get over-prepared, and it kind of relaxes them, and they get to talk about it if they know a lot about a subject.
Yeah, I mean, to his credit, I mean, he's been a governor for the last 7.5 years, right? He has dealt with natural disasters. He can look probably more presidential than J.D. Vance, who was nobody a couple of years ago. But that's just establishing baseline credentials. I don't think he's going to pick up points there, but it solidifies the idea that Kamala Harris looked presidential. She makes professional-looking choices. But to your point, when the moderators go to issues like Social Security, taxing billionaires, reducing prices for everyday people, that's where this everyman personality of Tim Walz really has a chance to shine.
Yeah, I think what's been interesting is a couple of things that are interesting. I'll get to the favorable and unfavorable in a moment, but the economy, which is kind of your area of expertise, to me, I've been surprised to see some of the numbers last few weeks. They've been better for Harris and Walz. It's always, and still, I think it's fair to say, it's probably still advantaged Trump a little bit in most of the polls, but not all, and not on all subjects. It's a populist message. I've covered finance for a long time. This is a populist message, but it looks like it's working more maybe than some people thought it would.
The numbers are all going in the right direction. And you mentioned that we've been advising the White House for the last year.
Yeah.
One of our big through lines in our advice was go micro, not macro.
Interesting.
People don't care about unemployment rates. They care about, does my family have good paying jobs? They don't care about inflation rates. They care about, do the price of eggs and groceries go higher or lower for me?
A lot of the
and Kamala Harris has been advancing a price gouging agenda, saying I will reduce the price of groceries.
I was about to say a lot of the Wall Street pros hit you guys, so that's a bunch of gimmicky kind of nonsense, and you're fine with that criticism, it sounds like. Because you think normal people, it resonates with them.
I mean, we do polling every week, and it's phenomenally popular. We invite the fight, and Tim Walz should invite the fight tonight on that. I think her point that 37 states already have price gouging laws, this is not communism, this is just rules of the road. Helping the good apples by picking out the bad apples is a very smart message. It's very pro-economic growth. I mentioned favorables and unfavorables. If we have those numbers, put them up, because I'm really interested in this because it speaks to, well, it speaks to expectations, I think, a lot tonight. Look, so Vance, his unfavorable numbers, see him on the right side of the screen, are really, really high. Now, Walz is not, years ago, maybe that wouldn't have been great, but this day and age, that's pretty good, the favorable, unfavorable. Whereas Vance, for a vice presidential candidate, those are really high unfavorables, and he's very, very unpopular. That's be good for your guy Walz, or it sets up an expectation where Vance, maybe the bar's so low, he doesn't have to do much to jump over that bar. I don't know. Yeah, if the strategy for Vance is look normal, maybe he can achieve it. But I think what those numbers say is that the more people hear from and learn about J.D. Vance, the more they don't like him. The fact that he was the guy who kicked off the eating dogs and cats line of debate that was with us for at least a week, if not two, I think is testament to his instincts in tonight's debate. The fact that the more people learn about Tim Walz, they love him, they think he's a grandpa, they think he's on their side like Kamala Harris is on their side. I think that speaks very well for his prospects in tonight's debate. So I hope that they both put their normal foot forward, and for J.D. Vance, that normal foot is very weird.
I see what you're doing, normal, weird. Yeah, that's been the message. You're sticking to it there, and the price gouging. Even if it is, what they say, gimmicky, you say it's working. So,
got to talk about grocery price gouging, and we'll win.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks for coming in. We'll watch tonight, obviously. Adam.